If my voice is my instrument, it's as legitimate as any other instrument. It's organic, it's with me all the time. It's the closest to the heart that you can have. The closest you would have after that would be recording your heartbeat to make a drum. Realizing that allowed me to feel more secure and comfortable with who I am musically, and the fact that layering vocals is my signature and is my way of creating, and that it's different, but it's allowed to be just like any other creative process. It all started with just a passion for music. Really, I grew up surrounded by music. I didn't think of it as a possible job until much later, when I realized that I love everything that has to do with encouraging people to nurture their mental health, and music is basically the best form of therapy and group therapy you could ever find. So the journey began with meeting Kevin, my manager, who also created Enso Records. He started by saying, I give you 6 months to come up with the album, the single, the EP, whatever it is that you want to do. So I came back 6 months later with, hey, want to do 3 instead of 1? And he actually said yes. We connected with this studio, Opus, where we are today, that has a great setup for audiophile performances and creation of content. When we first began, I had a clear vision of what I wanted the message to be and what I wanted to feel when I created it, hoping that people would feel the same when they would receive it, or at least it would hit some place as deep as possible. I just wanted to make sure that I got to pay homage and capture my version of, first of all, with Nameless Blues in 2018. Then we followed up with Jazz, which is Stay Tuned in 2019. And then complete the trilogy with 3 Little Words in 2021. So it was really a goal of mine to go through history, but not from the perspective of what happened in the history books, rather what has music taught us about the human process. So I always wanted to create a space where people felt connected to the music, because when someone creates an album, there is this feeling of connection through vibrations, which is something that is pretty magical. Through history, blues, jazz, and soul, it's as if all the emotions were presented, from the sadness and the depression, or the resilience in blues. Then you had jazz with all the passion and the revolution and the love, the presence of women being on the forefront of the revolution, and ending with soul that has this light to it, that has this new wind of fresh air, new breeze of hope. And so the goal was to create a safe space, first of all, generate or encourage empathy, and hope that it can lead to conversations that will help the world grow in a more united way. When the album was completed, to actually hold it in my hands and get to listen to it, especially with the quality that was provided by the studio, it felt surreal. It feels like it's not me in a way, because I always wonder, how did I do this? I don't even know how I created this. It just happens in a way. It made me appreciate my team and my privilege even more, realizing how lucky I am really to be able to do what I love and to have it come out in such a beautiful package created by such a great artist, and great recording and great production value from the producer Jacques Roy, who's been with us since the beginning. So it was a very heartwarming feeling and a magical moment. The fun part about the trilogy is that from the start, I know where the 3 albums are going. And by having a plan and a structure, it's easier to improvise after, knowing what the guidelines are, what the limits somewhat are, and to break those limits to go a little bit further. And listening to the first album allowed me to get rid of that imposter syndrome that I had, based on the fact that I didn't study music in the academical way. The first way I created altogether was through looking for collaborations. Who has a beat for me? Who has an instrumental for me? And feeling dependent on others. I need a guitarist to create something so that I can sing on it. And that frustration led to me eventually just wanting to have fun with my voice, create instruments with my voice on my own. And the more I would do that, the more I would get into harmonies and loving how I can sing the guitar. I don't need anyone to do it. I'll just sing what I have in mind. So that process led to where we are today, where I really enjoy layering a lot of different vocals so that I can create my own universe and then feed that to the musicians. At first, I thought we would get rid of the vocals, that they were just guidelines for the musicians. But with time, I realized, no, they have to stay because this is me. This is the truth of how it all comes to be.
River running free, you know just how I feel.
And there is something very specific to having different frequencies building vocally. It's just bigger, it's wider, it gets, I feel like it hugs people, or that's how I'm hoping it will come across, that it's all these different vocals that are all around that will just take you in so that you can really feel all the sounds and all the vocals that are being provided. So it's like a personal choir that lives in my head that I get to share through my albums. A great example would be Strange Fruit and Feeling Good, because we tried to keep it as clean as possible when it came to instrumentation and use the vocals on the forefront. Although it's the first album where there's less than any other album. There is, for example, Birds that gets played a lot.
So the sound of the birds taking off scared you last night.
Because of how sparse it is and the silence that I really wanted to use as an instrument, because silence is an instrument as well. So there's this contrast present within the first album of using silence as much as possible, and then those two tracks that are the parentheses of the album, the homage to Strange Fruit and to Nina Simone at the end, that are made only by my vocal so that it could take all the space and it could really represent how I create and how I allowed myself to rework those songs and make them my own as much as possible.
I'm feeling.
The three are meant as a trilogy, but if I had to suggest one, it would definitely be for people to start with the first one because, well, it's the beginning and there's something special about the start of a concept, about the starting point of it all. And obviously the dream would be that by getting the first one, they want to get the rest, you know. The main thing about my music is definitely the layering and how I do everything, all the vocals. We had the option of getting back vocalists in and having other people working with us, but I really wanted it to be my voice from beginning to end. And the other thing that maybe is not in the actual recording per se, but is present, I believe, energetically, is the fact that every time I sing, every single song, every single voice that it's in there, I make sure that I do it from a place where I go dig as deep as I can inside my heart, inside my emotion, have it come from here, really feel it in hopes that it gets felt as well. So I do believe the intention of what you put in the music will come through and become part of what people feel, even if they can't tell where is it from, why do I feel this way? Hopefully it's because I felt this way as I was doing it and putting it in.